Hey YouTubers, Bomerfett here with some more Star Trek Online content. What we're going to be working on here is a series that's going to be a tutorial on how to level up your starship captain. It's not going to be a step-by-step series. This is going to be kind of the highlights of the pivotal points that you'll reach along your career in your starship captain. We will do a little bit of highlights here and there of some of the missions, but we're not going to do like full playthroughs of each of the missions because that would just take forever. So we're just going to kind of hit some of the key points that you need to know about during your career and things that you can work on. The character that we're going to be using for this is Jalix. He is a Lieutenant level 5. He's been through the tutorial and the first 2 missions. Nothing major has happened in his career up to this point. So the worst part about leveling up in U-Tune is the slow sector space speed that you have. As you can see, we're putting along here at 5.62, which in the time of the original series was actually pretty fast. As you can see on the sector map here, we are not moving very fast at all. And we're coming from the Sol system here, having to go all the way down to the Lackey system, which overall, as far as the map is, the size of the map itself, that's not very far, and you can see how long it's taken us. Okay, one thing that I like to make sure that I do as I'm leveling up a tune is pick up all of the loot, anywhere that you can. At the very least, it's going to come in very beneficial whenever you're trying to...
This is enough dilithium to get our warp engines restarted. After we finish preliminary repairs, we'll set course for Starbase 157.
Okay, now that I get interrupted by that, at the very least it will give you something that you can earn EC with.
If you want to go into the Pulsar Nebula, your engines will need a boost. I recommend you visit Lackey 3. The Gorn drove out the Federation miners there and took over a decalithium processing facility. It's only fair that you take some of our crystals back.
As you can see around the map, you have things like hydrazine gas and other, off in the distance here, there's also another piece of R&D material. Those are things that I don't really pay much attention to whenever I'm leveling up a character. If it's something handy and it's right there in front of me, I'll grab it. If not, as you can see, you move so slow anyways that it's just going to take you forever to level up a tune if you grab this little bit of R&D mats along the way. To me, I just wait and get the R&D mats later as I can get them more rapidly once the character is higher level.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Always make sure that you pick up any of the loot that you come across. When you're this level in the game, you can use that loot on your ship to upgrade your weapons. Even if it's just a minor upgrade, and then you can always melt it down for dilithium. I'm sorry, not for dilithium. Then you can always melt it down for energy credits. And you can do that through your replicator in your inventory, just by going over to recycle, or you can go to any vendor and sell it through the vendor. If you sell it to the vendor, you actually get more money for it, so it's a little better to do it that way. And see, there was a hydrogen gas that was right there just on the way. So I was able to scan it without causing any kind of slowdown at all with what I was doing. Okay, we just beamed in here. Here's another example of an R&D material right here next to us. So we can just go ahead and hit this. I use my arrow keys to play this little mini game. It makes it a little bit easier. All you're trying to do is match up the wave patterns. You're going to get some particles no matter what. You just get a little more if you get the wave patterns matched up. And I don't have anything in the way of weapons on this guy yet. I don't know which is which here, so... Okay, that's sniper shot. Okay, so that's going to be my big one. We leave this over here. We'll put this closer to me so that if I need it, be closer to where my mouse is going to be. And again, we want to make sure that we pick up our drops, because at the very least they're worth EC to us. And in the lower levels, you also have these little crates that are around that are kind of lit up. Go ahead and get into those and take all the items out of there, because again, it's worth EC to you. I traditionally don't buy anything while I'm leveling up, just because you really don't need to. The game is pretty much set to where in the early levels, it's really just to help you try to learn how to do stuff. So it's not that difficult. So it doesn't really matter which gear you run on. As long as you're running on the best gear that you can pick up at the time, just run on that until you get to about level 40 or 50. And then is when you want to start concentrating on picking up better gear. One thing I like to do on this particular map is set my bridge officers up in a manner to where they are flanking this position, because since I've played this so many times, I know that when I go down to mess with the console, the Klingons are going to beam in right here. So now they have enemies all the way around them, and they can actually do more damage. Your NPCs can do more damage by getting flanking shots.
Something there that will help us in our fight against the Klingons.
It looks like they've gone back to some of the older missions here and kind of updated them, put like Captain Geordie LaForge in. It actually seems to run pretty smooth. I like it. So in this particular mission, these are all the drops that we're going to pick up from it. And we're picking up dilithium along the way too, which is good. We just need to make sure that we refine it as we go.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
And we got promoted. Okay, now that I've completed a mission and picked up the next one, what I want to do is I just kind of want to run through here real quick and swap out any gear that I might have better gear for. So this phaser pistol right here does 63.1 DPS, and the current weapon that I'm carrying does 42.9. So we will go ahead and swap that out. In the early phases of this, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to get too far off in the weeds of the details of each of them. You're really just looking for what is the strongest thing at that moment to use. Because later on in the game, whenever you're up to higher levels, that's when you're going to really start concentrating on making your builds more perfect, if you will. Be careful of having any kind of food in your inventory, because if you get a tribble, the tribbles will eat the food and the tribbles will replicate. So make sure that you either use the food or give it to somebody to use or something. We know that we picked up Beam Fire at Will as a new bridge officer ability. So what we want to do is our tactical officer here that we're using is Alyssa Flores. So we want to go to stations, click next to her name, and we want to select Beam Fire at Will now. I've already trained her in it. And go back to our inventory. Go ahead and give her shields. And it doesn't look like I have anything any better to give any of these people. Oh, we can give him some shield batteries as well. And she already has hypos. But we'll give her some more just in case. And then we're not using her on our ground team just yet, I don't believe. Let's see here. Stations. Actually, we don't have anybody listed on our ground team yet. So let's go ahead and list all 4 of them on our ground team. This way, whenever you beam down to the surface, these will be the 4 bridge officers that you'll take with you every time. And then we'll go back to her status. And we'll give her another hypo. Just because. Okay, so now we're going to go to stop the signal, which is in the Bomari system. Okay, here we are in the Bomari system. We're going to try out this beam fire wheel. I don't think it's going to work very well because we only have one fore weapon and one aft weapon. A beam fire wheel doesn't work very well that way. And it looks like there's only one enemy here anyway. Oh, no, there's 3. Okay. So we'll go ahead and hit beam fire at will and start shooting.
Ship is under attack.
Well, it looks like that's just my forward phaser beam. So apparently it is going to go ahead and engage multiple targets for me anyway. Hit my front arrow key to get little shields to the front.
Target's shields have failed.
So maybe this beam fire at will is a little effective. I didn't figure that it would be very effective at all with just 2 weapons active, but it seems to be working okay. And that way when I switch from one enemy to another, as you can see, they're already worn down quite a bit.
Have failed.
Okay, so that's not bad. Maybe that wasn't a bad swap. I was just thinking that maybe using beam fire at will with only 2 weapons wouldn't be very effective, and that we should have stayed with the torpedo boost, but this is working pretty good. There's magnesite ore right here on top of us, so we'll go ahead and scan it. Because we're not going out of the way or anything. And then just hit our F key to pick it up. Okay, so we're up to level 9 now. And we obviously have a ways to go again. Thankfully, it looks like it's kind of taking us back around and moving back up towards Earth Space Dock. So by the time we hit level 10, it shouldn't be that much of a trip to get back to Earth Space Dock. So I'm just going to hit this button right here, which will auto-navigate me to my next location. And while we're waiting, obviously it's going to be a slow trip. Some of the drops I picked up. One of the things here is a triple. We want to discard it. Unless you want to breed them or something, which is kind of a fun mini game if you're into that. Go ahead and work on some of my equipment. We did pick up a new warp core. Let's see. It looks like the same warp core that we already have. That is. Okay. We also picked up a new deflector, which is the same deflector that we already have. So neither one of those are going to do us any good for upgrading. We do have a weapons battery, which is helpful, especially in the early stages of the game, help you kill the enemy a little bit faster. Discard this triple. And it doesn't look like we picked up anything else really of use at the moment. But normally what I would do is I would go through and I would start off with my character. And I did some of this already on the ground. While we're in the middle of fighting, I swapped out his weapon for this higher weapon. And then I went to the next one down. And the next highest weapon I had in my inventory, I put on her. And then the people underneath her, if they had lower ranked weapons than the ones I just put in my inventory, then I swapped them out. And so eventually everybody will have something more than just the very basic stuff that is given to them. And then we can get rid of all of this in just a little bit. But when we go back to Earth Space Dock, we'll go over that in a little more detail on how to swap your stuff out for energy credits. I just realized that we also picked up a new officer as a mission. And in this new officer, what we can do is we can pick up one new bridge officer. So we'll go ahead and hail Starfleet. And then we have to choose between a Vulcan, an alien, and a Tellarite bridge officer. And what I like to look for is the bridge officer abilities. So this particular one, not necessarily like their bridge officer abilities themselves, but the actual bridge officer traits. This one appears to have only ground traits. It has logical, physical strength, basic, acute senses, and peak health. It looks like the alien also has only ground traits. It has acute senses, telekinetic, basic aggression, and cold-blooded. And the Tellarite also only has ground traits, has pig-headed, sturdy, basic aggression, and creative. So, since none of them have any space traits, what we'll do is we'll probably just go ahead and pick up the science, because this is a science tune that we're working on. And we will end up with more science bridge officer slots than we will any others while we're flying science ships. Oh my goodness, that is a crazy looking alien. Okay, so it says, Bridge Officer Assistant, greetings, Captain. There is no room. So what that's telling me is that right now, under my Bridge Officer slots, I don't have any empty slots. So we'll pick up more as I promote. I'll probably pick that one up at level 10. So this Bridge Officer is going to be hanging out right here. It says you have one Bridge Officer candidate, which is this guy here. So we'll just tell him not now, because he's not going to join our crew right now. And when he does join our crew, I'll show you we have the ability to change his uniform and change the way he looks as well. Okay, I just completed the next mission. I got promoted to level 10, Lieutenant Commander, and immediately pops up on the screen that we're being held by Admiral Quinn. And basically what he's going to tell you is congratulations. You need to come back to Earth Space Dock so that you can get promoted. So this mission will provide you with a more powerful free ship. The missions ahead will become more challenging. The foes you will face will be stronger as well. You have access to higher tier gear, weapons, and ships. So you have a choice of plotting a course for Admiral Quinn, or saying, thank you, Admiral, I'll return to Earth Space Dock shortly. So we're going to say we return to Earth Space Dock shortly, because I thought that I had more stuff here that had popped up on the screen, but I guess it did not. There we go, Secret Orders. That should be the next mission that we have. And I'll go ahead and accept this mission as well. And all your missions will pop up here on the right side, since that is going to be the next mission that I run, the next proper mission that I run. I'm not going to have it, it's currently not set for primary, but if you wanted to make it primary, you can. Making it primary will turn it gold, set it to the top of your list, and on your mini-map, where you need to go will be circled in gold. And if I go back to promotion, set it to primary, it'll put it back to the top of my list. And as you can see that our other mission turned white now. And it should have a gold circle around Earth Space Dock, or Sol System, but it doesn't. Not real sure why that is. But we'll go ahead and plot a course here now. And we've got a pretty good run that we've got to make here, so we've got time to go through our inventory. Let's see here. We'll start with basic gear here. He already has a level 2 armor. Here's a level 3 armor. I will go ahead and give him the level 3 armor, even though it's white. Sometimes a green level 2 or a blue level 2 a lot of times will be better than a white level 3. So the different levels of the gear can also be enhanced. So if you have a level 2 piece of equipment, the level 2 piece of equipment or Mark 2 piece of equipment, you have common, which is white, uncommon is green, and then you have blue, which is rare, and then you have purple, which is very rare. And as they increase in color, they also increase in abilities. And those colors are referred to as quality. Okay, so now that we've promoted to level 10, you see that we have 2 bridge officer slots open. So probably the first thing that we'll want to do is pull out that bridge officer. And we just have the 1 in here. So we'll go ahead and commission him. And in doing this, we can tell him to join. And immediately, I guess it's a her, we can tell her to, we can change her into a uniform similar to what we're wearing. So we'll click on her, then modify uniform. And we'll probably just have her looking about the same as she is, just put her in a different uniform. And I think everybody is wearing this color. I think. I'm not real sure. I can't remember on this particular character. I haven't played this character in a long time. I started this character up and I was going to use it just for dilithium mining, but I never did use it for even that. And we'll leave everything else the same except for her pants. And in her pants we will go with the Starfleet Academy. And then F7 and A8. So there you go. We'll go ahead and leave her like that for now. Well, I got the wrong color. Everybody else has more of a tan. She has like a yellow. Okay, so let's go ahead and modify her again. I could go in and actually see the exact number that everybody else is wearing. That's not going to be it either. I bet you it's going to be this color, maybe? No, that's not going to be it either. Maybe this one. We'll see if that looks a little closer. It does look a little closer. Okay, so, oh, I got the wrong belt on though. Okay, so let's get back into our inventory real quick. I don't know why that soul system's sitting over top. There we go. Now, since we have a new bridge officer that has all very, very basic gear, first thing we're going to do is throw some shields on her. Let's go ahead and throw some armor on her. Actually, she's not part of my bridge crew. Or my ground crew, rather. Let's take that back off. Let's see, this particular weapon here does... The numbers on this are going to be wrong because we're on the wrong kind of map. But it says that this does more damage than what he currently has, so we'll go ahead and swap his out. And this is clearly a better suit of armor than what he is wearing currently. She already has green Mark II. She has no armor, so we'll give her green Mark II. And he has just plain armor, but that's alright. Now we did get a different deflector dish during that last mission. This is a Mark III deflector dish. Okay, this one's going to improve my starship stealth. It's going to improve my starship exotic particle generators, which is really good for science. It's something that you want to do, and control expertise and drain expertise. And I am currently using a tachyon beam to drain their shields. So we are definitely going to swap this out, because all the way across the board it's better numbers than the one that we're running. Okay, so now we will jump down to Earth Space Dock and go from there. So here we are back on Earth Space Dock, and the next thing that we need to do in our promotion is that we need to go to the shipyard on Earth Space Dock. So that is right down the ramp here, And then we'll make a right and go all the way down these ramps. And when you get to the bottom, the person that you want to speak to is going to be here on the left. And it's acquire ship. And since we are science, I'm going to just limit this to science because I want to run science all the way through. And if you look right here, it shows that I have a free ship token. And this particular ship is the only one that I can pick up for a free ship token. The other ones I'll have to buy with Zen, which is in-game money, which is real-world currency. This one is 750 Zen, which would be equivalent to $7.50 US. And then this one here is also 750 Zen. And this is all for the rank of Lieutenant Commander, because that is the rank that I've currently been promoted to. If we go up to like Commander and things like that, you'll see that I can't even pick up these without buying dilithium, buying them with dilithium. So it is definitely worth staying down here and getting the ship that you can actually fly, because not only will you not be able to get it for free, you won't be able to even fly it because it is not your rank. And it should default you to your current rank that you should be on. And then, yes, I'm positive that I want to buy this. This is the USS Harvard. It is a beautiful ship. You can rename it from here if you want, but we're not going to. Now, once you have that ship, just because you picked it up doesn't mean that you actually are in it. If I were to beam right back up into space right now, I would not be in that ship. I'd be in my same old ship. So what we want to do is go over here to Manage Ships. And as you can see, currently the one that is active is the USS Nova. We want to click on the Harvard, and we want to say Ready Starship. And what that's going to do is make this starship ready for us. Next thing we want to do is bring up our inventory. And go back to the Nova. And there's some of the equipment that's on the Nova that we're going to want to use. So what we'll do is just pull it all off, because none of this equipment is going to be anything that we're going to want to salvage and save for later anyway. And even if we don't use it on our current ship, it still will be useful for us for EC. Okay, so now we go back over to the Harvard. This has a Mark II phaser beam, but we have a Mark II green phaser beam here. So we'll go ahead and use that. And we have a Mark II green torpedo launcher, which is more powerful than the one that's on there. So we'll go ahead and use that. And it looks like the tachyon deflector dish that we have in our inventory is better than the one that we are currently using. We don't have any secondary deflectors in our inventory at the moment, so we'll go ahead and leave that one there. We have a green Mark II engine, which is going to be better than the white one that we have. We have a green Mark II warp core, which is better than the white one that came with the ship. And we have green Mark II shields, which are better than what we came with the ship. And so now what we have is a torpedo and a phaser beam in the back. I don't like to run torpedoes in the back, just because I try not to keep the back end of my ship pointed at the enemy very often. So I'm going to go ahead and put that other Mark II here. Now we have 3 device slots on this ship. And at the moment, we only have one device with us. That's the shield batteries. And we have one tactical console. Since we are running phasers, we want to use this because this one is a phaser relay. The phaser relay is going to increase our phaser damage by 3.8%. Now we have 2 science consoles slots. This one will boost our shields. And I think this is a science console as well. It is. It's a flow capacitor. It's only a Mark 1. We'll slide it in the slot for now and see if we have anything any better. It's the same thing. It doesn't look like we do, but it's a science console and it will benefit us, so we'll go ahead and stick it in the slot for now. And then engineering consoles. It looks like my best engineering console is going to be the one that we were running on the other ship. This is 5.6 hull restoration, but this one here gives me +5 to all damage resistance. So let's go ahead and run this one. And now the ship is pretty well set up as far as having the equipment on it. If you want to, you can come over here to your customized ship. And you can actually customize your starship. So what I like to do is go to advanced. You can change the different saucer types. There is one, this one right here, this particular saucer type costs Zen, so you don't want to choose that one. But you can choose the different, this is not the saucer, this is the hull. That's kind of a beefy looking little one. We'll use that little quasar. Wow, that's kind of a thick one, isn't it? I like it. Okay, for the saucer, we got the Nova, the Aurora, and the Quasar. I actually kind of like the Quasar saucer as well. And then for the pylons, we got the Nova, the Aurora, and the Quasar. I think I like the Nova best with this. And then for our nacelles, we have the Nova, the Aurora, and the Quasar. I like the Nova best for that as well. And then you can also put different paint schemes as well on here. So if we actually choose, I like to choose like kind of bright colors so that I can see exactly what paint schemes I'm changing. And I like to make them very contrasting to one another so that I can see. We kind of have like a little Toy Story Buzz Lightyear action happening here. We may keep that, have a little Buzz Lightyear look there. That's kind of neat. But as you can see, let's see which we have. Aries is what we have now. So we can change the paint scheme, and as you can see, it just kind of changed it right here. And that's on the hull only. Saucer would probably be more noticeable, so we'll go to the saucer. I just chose the same one over again. So you can see it kind of changes up the paint scheme a little bit for you there. And you can also change the type of material that the ship is made out of, which will affect the colors. I'll probably just go with veteran here. And we'll just leave our ship looking like this because, why not? And then we want to apply changes. And then done. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to get rid of some of our excess inventory. Some of the things that you want to keep in your bank are going to be like your critical components, your critical regenerators, your minor regenerators, and the rest of the stuff we can just get rid of and see how much EC we get out of it. It's not going to be much for this particular run because a lot of the stuff that we have in here is basic equipment that was given to us, and basic equipment that is given to you does not give you any EC in return. So like I told you before, we can go to recycle here, and what you want to do is make sure that you're actually in your inventory, not your R&D. And we want to go down below the stuff that we want to put in our bank. So we want to get rid of these, and this gives us 339 from here. But if I go to a vendor, see if I can find the nearest vendor here. Probably up here in the requisitions area. And it doesn't matter what kind of vendor it is, just any vendor, as long as they sell stuff. And it doesn't matter what you choose. Just go ahead and click on sell up here at the top. So you can see I was going to get $339 for this by recycling it out of my inventory. I get $424 for selling it to a vendor. So you get a little more money for it. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot right now, but over the period of time that you're playing the game and all of the equipment that you're going to be melting, it does equal a lot of money eventually. So I like to bring up my inventory just to make sure that I can see what's actually coming out of my inventory as I do it, so that I don't accidentally get rid of something I don't want, or that I do want. And as you'll see, some of this stuff is not going to allow you to sell it. And some of that's because it's not sellable items. And some of it is because it's items that are specific to you. And if you don't want them in your inventory, you can either put them in your bank or you can throw them away. So we picked up 10,000 EC off of that. So our total count on energy credits right now is 13,000 EC. So some of the stuff here, like the data recorder. The data recorder is going to basically give you information about different areas into sector space as you're flying around. And the dilithium mining claims, that's something that you get out of a lockbox. They are bound to account, and you cannot sell them. You can throw them away, but do not throw them away if you ever come across them, because they will earn you extra dilithium. Currently, this tune is not, I'm not using him for farming dilithium, but that's why I put them on him, is to level him up and let him fly over to the dilithium mining claim and mine dilithium over there, which is something we can get into later. This is your fire extinguisher. Used to, you had to put it in your device slot to use it. You don't have to do that anymore. Now you can just put it in your inventory. And I probably should have got rid of these shields too, but we can put them on our ship. That works too. So what we'll do is put this guy over here, and then all the rest of the stuff we're going to put in our bank, except for the dilithium mining claims. So we'll put him here. And you can set up your inventory however you want. This is just kind of the way I do it, and maybe some little tips and tricks for you to help you along the way. Just bring up your bank, bring up your inventory, and these guys I cannot use yet because I'm not high enough level. These will come into play whenever I start dealing with my specialization for my traits. I like to have a row of regenerators and a row of components. This is a minor, that's a major. And then major components. So the regenerators will heal your person whenever you start getting injuries, and you will later in the game, so don't throw these away, collect them as you go along. And your critical components and your minor components and major components will all be part of healing your ship when your ship gets injuries. So again, hang on to those. They don't have to be on your person, they just need to be in your bank. So just keep a couple of lines of them in your bank, and that's all that you will have here. And I close the bank without putting this away. And I keep all of these little things like these. These are various commodities that you will use for duty officer missions later on. Once we hit level 11, we will start being able to play with duty officers. Alright guys, now that we have our ship all ready, we are in system space outside of our space dock. And our little tiny ship that looks like Buzz Lightyear. We should name it Buzz Lightyear. That's what we should do. Anyway, so guys, I think this is going to wrap up this episode. The next episode will start out with level 11, where you will pick up your duty officer missions, and we will go over how to run those duty officer missions and how to help you level a little bit faster using those duty officer missions, and pick up all the goodies that come along with it. And we'll probably work our way up through level 20. If you liked the video, guys, please do hit like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Until then, fair winds and following seas.